Okay, welcome to the bonus stream. There was three, now there are only two people here. That's fine. Or there's only one and I'm the other two. It doesn't really matter. Um, so I'm officially taking Christmas week off. But because Dad sleeps naps for an hour or so, I figured I can still get some time in. And when he wakes up, then I'll probably end the stream. And I might not do it every day. I definitely won't be doing it on. Well, that's not true. I could do it on Christmas Day, even maybe. It doesn't matter. The whole point of these bonus streams is the idea being that I'm not doing a set duration or time period. In other words, I'm not starting 11:30 and I'm not doing two parts and I'm not, taking my break at whatever. It's just gonna be however long he sleeps. I'm gonna be in here messing around on my game because I still kind of want to get some things done. I'm anxious to get phase one, at least the first pass of phase one done, and something up somewhere, like itch.io or something. So I am um I'm gonna work towards that anyways. So if I go to favorites and we're gonna start this. We're gonna start with older projects. Okay, and I think we're dealing well. Here, let's see what chapter. Well, it's still chapter three, but let's see what we got here. Let's open this in a new tab, and let's go to rooms. And I'm trying to keep quiet on purpose because my voice carries all through the house. My dad's even on the other end. He's got his door closed, and I got my door closed here towards the front of the house, and he can still hear it if I'm too loud. So I'm trying not to be. I'm not trying not to be too loud. Okay. Okay, so chapter two, we're still in chapter three, obviously. Title one, search for clues. Uh, title two, John becomes a knight. Uh, then we got to go to T3. Our princess is. Oh no, I got. Oh, that's right, that's right. I'm on title four, aren't I? I'm on the third one, so um, title four, right? Hubert's old flame. Oh no, no, no. Wait a second. Is it back in? Oh, you know what? I put. I don't know if I can change it here. Let's see if I can change it. The details in here. Um, let's say. Let's say Fairy God College. Okay, I gotta update that, and I'm gonna update the one on Mean Green here. So let's see if show more. Um, oh, I need to go back to the deal so I can edit it. Let's see, edit, edit, edit. Uh, let's say for GodCollege. Tags, enter, game, game, figure it out. Say gaming, I guess. Could also be how to, but just go ahead and save that. Okay. And just saving my changing my description in here. So I guess we're not working on Wizard U, we're working on the Fairy God College. Shouldn't be too big of a deal here. Okay. Okay, so okay. See, I even advertised, and there's only two people, and for all I know, those two people are still me. So if I'm talking to me, thanks for watching me. Me, thank you for watching me. Watching me. Okay, so Hubert's old flame. Old flame. Okay, so let's go. Now, if I go into old rooms, there should be nothing in here. Metadata, nothing in here, right? Okay, rooms. Let's go ahead and delete that. Let's go ahead and go into old rooms. Okay. And actually, let's go ahead and boop, 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 boop. Let's go ahead and pull up the current version here too, because I don't know if maybe I'll do it in the text file, but it's old flame. I wonder. Okay, Hubert. Okay, so Hubert makes his way to Fairy God College, peeks in one of the windows. Fairy God College and threaten tells Hubert Violet is back and is trying to force students to become evil witches. Okay, I don't know. Hmm. All right, let's go over here, and we're gonna have to go concerning. Um. Okay, so we're in the old one. Okay, let's this Wizard U stuff. That's gonna be kind of hairy to pare down because that's kind of a big chunk here. Night school. Um, Fairy God College, Fairy God College. Let's actually look at something here. Dwarf Mines. Let's see something here. Further questions. All right, so let's assume that. Okay. That's a Zanzibar one. This one's Chester. This one's Nestor. Wizard U. This is where the unicorn goes into Wizard U. Library. Fairy. Oh, Fairy God. See, okay, so this is gonna be. Now, I already have Wizard U up, but this is gonna be the first time I'm actually not bringing over old. Hmm, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm gonna have to look this up because I think I came up with a few things as far as I think I came up with a few things as far as Fairy God College. It's apparently not in here because this is only. All right, let's pull up my notes. Five, Fairy. Okay. Okay. Free the fairy godmothers in training. That's kind of interesting here. Um, it's like I thought there was a whole bunch that I had already done, and I see something here. Fairy God College 1. Okay, that's very interesting. Let me do a quick go to rooms. Not what I'm looking for. Um, very Fairy God College 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. This has to do with okay. So basically, all right. I guess it's got to be in my notes though, because I thought I had more going on then, but apparently I didn't. So um, okay. This is interesting. So okay, I don't know who's still watching, but apparently um so like I go ahead and advertise. Like I don't lately I've been not like posting to Discords and all that stuff that I always do, and do it once a week now about. And I did this morning, and there's like nobody here now except for one viewer, apparently one viewer. So whoever you are, mystery viewer, thanks for watching. Anyways, managed to free. Where is? Okay, it doesn't really matter. Fairy tales, fairy guy college. I said in here that she didn't go to officially go to school, but uh, she had been to Princess Prep like way earlier when it wasn't a tourist resort. So okay. All right, godmother is very. Although she's very good college, very good college. Okay. Oh, give me a quick sec. Okay, here we go. Okay. Yeah. So weird. Nobody is coming to watch. That's okay, I guess. Let's see. I know I had some stuff here. Oh. Um. Fine. Next. Find all, huh? Tours to be witches. Every fairy tale needs one of these. Um, I just have to find it because I think there was a deal. He goes up to the window at one point. This is when I was attempting a walkthrough originally. Attempting to create a pre-walkthrough basically to help guide me in what I was going to do. Put it in here. So I need to find that. I could go from scratch though, from like memory, I guess, because I do have to think some stuff up. But I'd rather go on something that I'd already put in here. There we go. Travels to Fairy God College. At Fairy God College, he tries to go into the front door only to be stopped by some invisible shield that must be magic. They need to find a way to break it. After going around the back, he notices he can see into a little window and notices several ladies attempting to jump astride the rooms, and most not making it with a most ungraceful landing. Okay, so um, now I haven't put in the Wizard University stuff in here into this new version, this rebooted version. But in that, there's some wards guarding. Oh, that's right. You know, he couldn't get into that, could he? Actually, let me look at that. Let me check that out real quick. I mean, he did manage to get in, but he manages to get in a different way. So, so yeah. So let's go all the way up to. Okay. Outside, note another woman is boarded up. Doors padlocked. After examining, you notice a hole in the bottom. Okay. That might be something I have to address. See, um, and he doesn't know how something will manifest itself until he does it. Oh, see, hmm, interesting. Okay, so getting into hmm, um, so basically have to consider a couple of things, right? Wizard U, okay. It's boarded up. Now, Hubert doesn't want to use his magic because he only has half of his magic, so he doesn't know how that's going to work out. The other thing is they probably have protected boards. At least the trophy room does, and I didn't even really address that. So I still have to kind of keep this like logical consistency. So basically, why isn't there something stopping him via magic from going in there? And kind of an interesting. Okay, let's here. Let me go further down. Back to normal size. Here we go. That would have sent. Okay, so there. Okay, so there's a difference in here. The the trophy case and the trophy room are protected by presumably by Hubert or by some of the faculty at Wizard U. So no problem inside, um, but outside getting into it, that's got to kind of be the case here with Fairy God College too. So um, let's see. Let's presume that Violet can actually cast a spell that will physically bar anyone from entering in to the college that she doesn't want in. Um, and Hubert only has half of his magic, so he's not going to try to magic in. So he's going to try. How's he going to find his way? Oh, he's not going to find his way in there. That's going to be the case here. In fact, this not going to be a lot of stuff to do here. He's going to learn a little bit of information, and it's almost inconsequential in a sense. Yeah, he finds out. He already finds out that. Okay, John already finds out at Princess Prep. No, he already finds out at night school, and then let me think for a second. Princess Prep. Okay, so when is that the princess never reached her destination, and that's what he could glean from the local gossip in night school. Um, but then when he goes to Princess Prep, he's got the itinerary where she's supposed to go next, and so that's how that works. So there's some extra information here. There's no extra information other than um, Violet Moonshadow's here. She's holding all the vacation fairy godmothers hostage and trying to force them to become witches. And he doesn't even make his way in there. He manages to make his way around the side, and he's able to talk to somebody in there that he knows. And hmm. So that's an interesting little conundrum here. Is okay. So what kind of interesting thing can go on in here, right? Um, let's see. Let's figure this out. One of the windows. A friend tells Hubert Violet is back, trying to force students to become evil witches. Now, presumably, if Violet's back, Max is going to be back, but the player doesn't know that um, at this point. If um, and then when he goes to Wizard U, it confirms the fact that Max is back. And actually, I don't know if that confirms it for sure. Let's see. I guess he concludes that Max is back. I think is how that works. Let's go back over here. Hall of Fame. Hubert concludes that he must have trapped the other wizards in their own paintings when he got his magic back. Okay, so let's see something here. Um, Next, Hubert goes to the Wizard University Hall of Fame. He noticed one of the portraits is missing. Hubert realized it was the portrait of Maximilian Spell, who had attempted to take over the other realms before and was banished. Max doesn't warrant a spot on the Hall of Fame, but they trapped his magic in his portrait and left it there under observation of the other wizards. Max took it down in order to reclaim his magic. Hubert looks at the other portraits and notices the other wizards have a shocked or surprised look on their faces, concludes that they must have been trapped the other wizards in their own paintings when he got his magic back. When Hubert came back to the mouse dorm room, he shrunk Hubert again, and when Hubert was outside, returned back to his normal size. Okay. Hmm. So this is gonna like confirm his suspicions that Max is back. Um, and so, hmm, okay. All right, so I'm gonna have to create some new pages here, and I'm gonna have to create some choices here, and I'm gonna try to do it without the help of an AI. I'm gonna try to do it myself, which will be kind of tricky, sort of. Um, so we want a part one and a part two. Now usually part one would involve him getting into Fairy God College, but he can't get into Fairy God College. And then part two is going to be the information he gets. So, um, how do I make this a little more interesting, a little more? Hmm. You think? Let me think. Um, we'll do a couple of things here. A little bit of information here. Okay, let me go back to my notes first. Uh, Tries to go in the front door, only be stopped by some invisible shield. It must be magic, so he needs to find a way to break it. After going around the back windows, you can see into the window. Several ladies attempting to jump astride their brooms, and most not making it with a most ungraceful landing. Uh, he notices the teacher recognizes and tries to gesture for her to come to the window. While looking around, she quickly and quietly runs to the window and opens it all the way. You shouldn't be here. I'm starting to get the idea. What's going on? All the little old ladies who wish to become fairy godmothers are now forced into learning to be evil witches. Forced by whom? You should know her. You asked her to marry you instead of me. Violet, she's here. Yes, she's taken over the school and putting these poor little old ladies through the ringer. Something about an army. I don't know how they would fit in though. You need to stay put. I need to figure some things out. He left and went to the rendezvous point. Okay, so I just have the kind of this basic information now. I guess I don't have to. Let's see. It might be a good idea if this is shorter. Just because Wizard U is going to be a longer one. In fact, I'm still going to collapse it a little bit. But maybe I can give it a little more leeway. Instead of 10, I can do 15 or something, and then this I can restrict down to 5. Just, just kind of rough estimates of things and get it to around 15 and not worry if it's that much longer. It'll balance out the Fairy God College. There's only a little bit of information there. Um, Um, maybe I just thought of something too. Maybe here, let me take this. Okay. Let's go over here. Okay. So okay. What was I thinking? Um, maybe Hubert notices an old girlfriend in the classroom at the side window. Go and tries to get her attention, but she can't see or hear him because of the same magic that's physically keeping him out. Oh, you know what's kind of another interesting thing? Another interesting thing is, of course, if you play, I'd be giving Violet a little bit more to do here, especially if I let you play the villains. I don't know, but there's going to be a point where she spots Hubert, and so she can alert Max about it. So everybody kind of knows what's going on. Hmm. Mm, okay. Hmm. Okay, so I have to think of, okay, he's banging on the window, he's gesturing wildly, and she can't see or hear him because there's magic keeping that out. So I have to think again. Okay. So the only way to be able to get into this thing is via magic, and his magic doesn't work right. So I have to think of, okay, so either I can do the combination thing where he just tries a couple of different spells to um, that will make up to the one spell that he needs to open or whatever. And the other thing is to cast a spell where yeah, to cast a spell that sort of doesn't work entirely, but still gets him mostly there. Okay. Um, so Hubert needs to use some magic, which might not go uh, plan because of Hubert's halfway magic, but might still accomplish what he needs to. Okay. And it's going to be some projection magic. He figures, maybe he casts the same spell twice because maybe the picture works but the audio doesn't work. Okay. Um, let's think for a moment. He could go to the window, or he could literally project himself inside. Hmm. Um, could do a thought projection. Let's see. What projection? This uh, uh, projection, visual into a space you can't get into, where that's normally too far away. Uh, what else? Transportation. Rotation shouldn't work because it's magically worded. Uh, I'm just okay. So I'm just kind of trying to come up with different methods to actually um, like different kinds of spells you could use. I just thought of something. Could have a rule that um, to be a law rule. What would I call that? Barring, magical barring, physical barring. Um, what would I call that? Um, I don't know what word I'm looking for. Um, what word do you use when you're trying to bar one from entry to some place? I don't know what to say here. A solid, a very flat bag to rectangular block, horizontal rod, standard expectation to your requirement. Something that impedes or prevents action or progress. If poor education was a branch of ambitions, a ridge. and arrow marking, and your narrow middle, insignia, parallel lines, location, defeat, drop the staff, measure. Fasten securely with a long, straight, rigid piece of material. Bar at the gate. Shut in your confined, barred themselves in the basement to obstruct or impede, block. Barred the access route. Okay. Gun the exam barred him from driving, yeah. To prohibit. The state bars the dumping of waste in the river. Huh. Anyways, okay. That's not really what I'm saying. I know the word bar. Uh, let's do. Um, yes, I know, but I think I'm trying to think of a different word for it. Um, in my game, there's a spell protecting a building and physically barring anyone from entering it. I want to come up with a rule that if magic is used to physically prevent someone from going in some place, uh, that they can't also do it magically. That is, it's already using magic. So potentially you could teleport into the space that was physically covered by another spell because it doesn't stop magic from affecting it, but it does stop physical entry. Word, fantasy game. Yeah, I already had a word on there, but magical barrier physically block entry will not necessarily stop magical effects or teleportation unless specifically. Magical wall or force field. Then it should be specified it also blocks teleportation or planar travel. Otherwise, creatures could potentially bypass it via teleportation to prevent this. Um, yeah. Well, I'm not going to anybody's specific like spell thing. I'm creating my own stuff. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much exactly. But okay, so all right. Don't you also use the word ward as an alert or alarm? I used this in another part of my game's story, which helps the wizard who placed the word to detect if magic was used on it. Okay. Thanks. I guess word is what I'm looking for. I'm coming up with various ideas, sort of brainstorming. So to get into the building, so there was a spell protecting this building from unauthorized physical entry to a point where nobody inside can hear or see you, even if there's just a window. Even if there's a window there. And so I was making it a little, and then I'm trying to come up with ways to get around it. So I'm thinking I want to make a rule for magic in my game. Oh, that's not, yeah. I don't know if I've done that anywhere else where you have a physical entry being whereas the Wizard U didn't have it on there. But you might think that it would have it on there. So anyways, where a spell keeps you out of some place physically, you can still get around it magically, vice versa. Physical word while the force blocks entry and travel, but doesn't stop scrying teleportation or spells unless explicitly stated. To block magical entry, teleport, ethereal, use forbidden, dimension lock, whatever. You can layer words. So there's some important information that my wizard needs to get. But before he can do that, he has to find a way in. So I'm just going through various ideas. Another idea might be the fact that the magic that's stopping someone from going through requires a lot of magic and strength or whatever, and to maintain, and thus, um, even if I don't have that magic rule, then I can say, well, you might be able to use a spell because it's taking the enchanter all of their power just to keep this thing working properly. Stopping someone from going through requires, yeah, a match in strength or whatever to maintain, and thus, even if I don't have that magical, I can say, well, he might be able to use a spell because it's taking the enchanter all of their power just to keep this thing working properly. Powerful ward that blocks physical entry can be maintained only with great magical effort, making it vulnerable if the caster is weakened or distracted. From game mechanics or fantasy lore, sustaining a barrier drains the caster's strength and concentration. If the caster is disrupted, injured, or exhausted, the ward may weaken or fail. This creates a strategic opening. Your wizard could exploit this by attacking the caster's focus, using dispel magic, or waiting for a lapse. Um, yeah, I was more. So Hubert, the wizard, um, doesn't want to alert Violet. One of the villains that he's looking around. So he's probably not going to attack her directly, but if it's taking all of her magical effort to maintain, then she won't be putting up any magical awards. That is ones that stop magic. And he can enter in that way. Right. She can afford to layer it with spells. Here it can use teleportation magic to bypass it undetected without triggering alarms, especially the ward lacks detection magic. Additionally, spells like detect magic and see invisibility might reveal the ward's aura, but won't alert Violet unless she has a separate scrying or alarm ward, like alarm or glyph of warding, but she is not actively monitoring for intrusion. Hubert can enter stealthily and silently, so yes, overloaded defense creates a blind spot Hubert can exploit. Okay, thanks. If you're using a spell to maintain a physical ward, then you can't use a spell on the same item to also maintain a magical ward. However, could also go with it takes so much effort to bar people physically from entering that Violet couldn't maintain that and some sort of magical ward that stops Hubert from using magic. Okay. So we're gonna. Okay, so I'm still just thinking stuff up here. How long have I been going here? An hour. So Dad could wake up at any time. He could wake up an hour from now. He could wake up a half an hour. He could wake up in the next few minutes. So I might be calling it quits here today. A further complication is the fact Hubert has only half of his magic, which literally manifests itself as um, any spells working uh, which manifests itself almost literally. Conjuring up 2 eggs or breakfast, you might only get one. If he's conjuring a glass of orange juice, then it's anyone's guess which half appears. Might have a short glass or a mess on the floor. Actually, I already have some ideas. Like I said, some projection, some thought projection. I think the projection idea is the better idea. The idea is he's going to project himself into the space, and it's only going to work. It's only partly going to work with either the audio or the visual. Yeah, spells requiring precision may misfire, partially succeed. Conjuring fail comically, but teleportation in combat could be lethal if botched. He might need to boost reliability using focus items, rituals, or external magic. It's going to make self-complaining ancestral raw power won't work with overlay smite. I also have some ideas for this. Okay. I also have an idea for this. Now, in one part of my game, he used two spells that eventually made up for whichever one would get the results he wanted. In this case, though, I can't think of anything I can do two-part at the moment. But I'm thinking projection, a projection spell that projects his image and audio, but maybe one of them doesn't work but maybe half magic results in an image with no sound, or sound with no image. It's going to be sound with no image because image. So he could project, and it only gives the image, so he has to figure something else out. But if it's the audio, he can talk to anyone directly in the room. It works perfectly. It's about like a 50% success rate, so image only, sound only, voice heard but no visible form. Full failure, nothing happens. Full success, both image and audio work. This creates attention. Hubert might risk exposure, incomplete projection, or find workarounds. Okay. If it's so Hubert can see inside, but no one inside can see or hear him. So maybe he can gesture to someone in the room with just image projection, and they can come to the window and open it. And just because he can't physically get in doesn't mean, I should say, open it. Huh. And he can talk to them. However, this sort of breaks the logic slightly, as you can't see or hear, so maybe if the window was open, they still couldn't see or hear outside. I could just leave it as audio, and then they can converse. If the word blocks sight and sound, opening the window should automatically restore them, unless the magic is tied to the barrier itself, not the opening. If the word is on the structure, opening the window might disable the effect locally, allowing sound and sight through the gap. If the word is a field, like wall of force, it may persist across the opening, maintaining sentry block. Half magic, show only image, gestures silently, someone notices, opens the window. If the word ends at the opening. Once the window is open, normal sight and sound resumes, he can then speak. Or if only audio works, he whispers through the word, the sound can pass, guiding someone to open it. Okay, thanks. I'll keep that in mind. See. And this is sort of like the other problem I had with Hubert in the room, because you still, I mean, you still have to think of these kind of logical things like this where um you can't break your game world or whatever. So if this stops sight and sound, it doesn't won't necessarily stop sight and sound inside the place, but he only has half of his magic. So we could do a deal where he uses two spells and they combine to do exactly what he needs. Hmm. I could come up with a spell that that's a thought. Not the same thought though. Hmm. Let's think. Hmm. He could write a note if it's just image, and I'd have to logically have a thing where he would have some pencil and paper, maybe in his spell book, in his bag that he keeps his hats in. You know, if I have him do magic every time and just come up with different ways to different magics to get him to do what he needs to do, um, it could just amount to magic being an annoyance rather than an actual obstacle thing that he needs to get back his magic, though. Transportation to work because it's magically worded. But if it's a physical, and not magically, then he could do transportation, but it would be like Leo was saying, it might be dangerous, right? I mean, obviously, I'm not going to put a bunch of dangerous stuff in there, but logically, right? Logically, um, let me think for a second. There's a thought. Oh, here, something I just thought of too. Hmm. Another thing I just thought of. Building is very God college because in my game, the kingdom has become a tourist resort, and it's very very God college like the other schools in Enchanted lands used to be real schools, but now they just do a bit of training for guests who are vacationing, but also the faculty of many of these schools either either taught or or had classes here. So the person Hubert talks to is also a fairy godmother. So she may be able to do some magic on the inside. And then that makes it interesting. Then the interesting part is how does he communicate to her, and then how does he get what does she do in order to be able to freely talk with Hubert? Fairy GodCollege is once prestigious magical academies, now serve as themed training centers for tourists in the Enchanted lands. While they offer light magical instruction, their faculty, many of whom are former or retired fairy godmothers, retain full magical abilities. Fairy godmother inside Fairy GodCollege can likely cast powerful spells, Misty Step, Disguise Self, Detect Thoughts, or Dimension Door. 3 day. I don't know what 3/day is. 3 a day. I don't know. Based on typical fantasy lore, she may also have familiar like an owl to relay messages. Since the building's magic blocks sight and sound, she could use a telepathic magic scrying or silent gestures to communicate with Hubert. Her presence adds strategic depth. She might weaken the ward, open a portal, or send help without alerting Violet. Huh. Okay. Um, so let me think for a moment here then. Um, might be an interesting thing here too, that I haven't did in the whole game or I haven't thought about doing, and that is um, the idea that you don't know what choice you're going to get. In other words, you do the spell and it manifests itself halfway, but you don't know the results. So what I do when I ask you which choice to do, you know, um, to cast uh, projection, uh, hit one or two, and then based on which one you choose, it could actually pull up one or the other. You as the player or the reader doesn't know which one's going to come up, you know, and that way it can still get both things done. And I have like a two-way, so you have to figure out the different ways to get her to open. So another thought is okay. Um, Projection. Oh, what? That Christian Serif. Which one's this one? Liberation Mono. Um, guess let's switch to Liberation Serif. We'll just do that. Um, if Hubert does projection, it might only result in audio or video or visual. So, but then since the person he knows is a fairy godmother, he can do some of the same kinds of stuff. So he gets her to do projection outside. Okay. And it sounds like Dad is woken up, and so I'm gonna have to cut this stream short. But it looks like I'm kind of well on my way now. She can do a projection of herself when she's not needed. So, so he can get her to do the same spell, and then he can talk freely with her. Now, the other idea is this is done in a choose your own style, and one thing I haven't thought about before is I could present choices without telling the reader what they are. So if you hit 1, it could be the visual, and hit 2, or hit 2, and it would be the audio. And so I can use those as interesting decision points on how to get her to the projection to the outside. Also set it up to where the reader doesn't know what result they'll get. They just have to press one or the other to see. Select that idea. Presenting hidden choices. She doesn't have the limitation that Hubert has, so her projection spell should work perfectly. Okay, thanks. I'm done for today. Talk soon. Talk soon? Okay, sure. Sure. Okay, well, yeah. So thank you for oh hey Rook, sorry, I missed you here. But thanks for popping in, and maybe I'll be back on tomorrow. I don't know for sure. Um, most most definitely won't be on Christmas Day, but maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. We'll see. it really depends on what we're doing. So yeah. So thanks for watching. Thank you for watching today's bonus episode, and I'll see you soon.